understands her objective and bolts ahead, taking the right path. She comes to a sudden stop at the edge of a cliff. A falling stone provokes the two-headed giant monster. It's a Hades serpent but strangely with unique coloring and horns. It's also strangely guarding the tunnel, despite its usual behavior of being independent and ruthless. Aliyah submits her report to Varai regarding the serpent and unusual quantities of mana from a tunnel. She thinks it must be the source linked to the deviant mana beasts as well. Aliyah requests backup before proceeding ahead. Varai intends to send 50 battle mages near her location and instructs her to remain on standby. The dinner table is prepared with Vincent Hellstay being a drunk fool who is always the same coming home. Lilia teases him, but their mother explains how dearly Vincent misses his daughter ever since he sent her to the academy. Lilia finds herself extremely embarrassed that he made her a laughingstock instead of the council president. She's more curious about where Tessia went all of a sudden. Arthur explains that HSE went away to catch some air and his mother followed her. With Ellie completely asleep, Arthur asks if his father will take her upstairs. But he merely passes her body to her brother and insists that Arthur be the one to do it since she missed him a lot. Outside, Alice and Tessia are enjoying a meeting together. The elf had a lot of fun seeing Vincent and Reynold giving them good company. Alice argues that they were embarrassing more than anything. She laughs at her suggestion and quietly drinks tea. An inquisitive Tessia asks if Alice is worried about Arthur's dungeon raid tomorrow. Like a loving mother, she can't help but be worried about her son, despite his incredible strength. Alice is the kind of mother who thinks she'll never stop worrying even if Arthur's strength eclipses the Lance's. After all, that is the unpredictable nature of a dungeon and the fear that comes with it. She apologizes for killing the mood, but Tessia wipes her feelings. She wants Alice to know that she's ready to do whatever it takes to protect him, just like he's done for her. Interestingly, Alice doesn't want her to do that, as she's a loving daughter to her own parents, who would be worried sick if something happened to her. She prioritizes Tessia's self-preservation before anything, and entrusts Arthur's capabilities to take care of his own well-being. Now that it's getting chilly, she recommends they head inside. Tessia wants to stay for a while longer outside and thanks her. Alice leaves her shortly. In the next scene, as Arthur is putting his sister to bed, Ellie's eyes open. She learns that it's still nighttime, and her first question is regarding her brother's departure. Arthur expresses that he'll be gone by morning, despite his sister's wishes. He can't do anything to prolong his stay, but will return for a week's worth of stay after the field trip. Ellie wants to hear a nighttime story from him, but Arthur apologizes, stating that he's got to wake up early too. His sister isn't letting up and requests that he share one. Arthur gives up and sits next to her to continue the story of him becoming a professor. Remembering where he left off, Arthur explains how he saved Kathleen while she was most vulnerable. Even Ellie remembers her as the daughter of the king and feels jealous that her brother keeps saving princesses for a living. Bro continues his story on how he challenged the professor to duel him instead, only for Ellie to tease that he did it for showing off. Arthur summarizes how he bested Professor Geist, and the Academy's director extended him an invitation to become a teacher. He didn't accept so easily, and kept rejecting until he realized he could access some privileges if he took her up on the offer. There was also a private training room, helping him more time to train and refine his skills. Ellie wanted to know if he is a good teacher, and if he uses the training room with his friends. Arthur had to explain everything, but only more questions popped up afterwards. It was daytime already, but Arthur's nowhere to be found, not even in his room. Reynolds suspects that he got up early to make breakfast. They decide to check on Ellie and smile at the sight of both their children completely asleep. Poor Arthur couldn't stop answering questions all night. It's time for the field trip to finally get underway. Miss Glory calls everyone to get into teams. Arthur recommends little Sylvie to get some hunting done while they're busy. It won't be an issue as it's only a low-level dungeon, so he'll be fine. Sylvie hops away and wants her master to inform her if anything goes south. Well, Arthur for one can't believe that he was groped with fucking Lucas of all people. The arrogant mage acts so tough and powerful with his A-rank adventurer background. Arthur decides to egg him on by mentioning how this same guy got his license revoked. Having destroyed this guy with a single line, he goes about his day when suddenly Lucas grabs his shoulder and questions if he's jealous of him. Arthur maintains his cool and claims that he only mentioned the truth. Lucas powers up to fight, but their confrontation is broken off from another student who highlights the importance of the team leader. Bitchface out here thinks he's going to be the leader, but everyone somehow unanimously agrees for Tessia to become the team leader. After all, she's the student council president and a mid-range conjurer to keep the students in check. Lucas is pissed, while Professor Glory gives her students the signal to get the move on and remember the tactics they learned. The group approaches the entrance of the dungeon. Inside, Glory recommends that they stick to their team formations and enforce protection with mana. The dungeon's temperature is unusually cold for some, so it's required to augment and protect yourself using mana. However, Arthur feels strange that his body doesn't feel affected thanks to his assimilation with Sylvia. Tessia for one remarks just how beautiful this dungeon looks with its glowing crystals. Glory uses this opportunity to introduce themselves to the dungeon called the Widow's Crypt. It's a low-ranking dungeon, and they'll only be exploring the first 2 floors, so the mana beasts are not more powerful than snarlers. Some of the students are scared like crap because snarlers are difficult to kill. Also, they're ugly as shit. Curtis expresses his confusion as snarlers are supposed to appear by now. But strangely, there's nothing so far. Claire also thinks it's weird because the guild specifically restricted access to this dungeon for the students. So it's not like other adventurers already raided or anything. Traversing deeper, Glory is starting to get ticked at the same issue. She tells her students to stay sharp as the monsters could just be hiding. Lucas is getting pissed that they've yet to move in a location where there are more monsters. One student asks if they'll be venturing in the deeper levels of the dungeon if they don't encounter monsters here. To this, Glory strongly refuses and rejects the idea. If they don't spot anything here, they'll just report their findings to the guild, and that will be the end of it. Curtis is in the middle of his statement when he suddenly bumps into Professor Glory. She has seen something so terrifying that she froze. Glory immediately orders her students to retreat, as a giant pack of snarlers has come out without warning. Arthur and the others follow the professor's command and aim for a solid retreat. Glory reinforces herself with mana before lashing out on the creatures, cutting them into pieces. While these creatures aren't much stronger from the typical monster, the fact that they're attacking in hordes is certainly strange. Glory returns to her students to explain her findings. She is worried about the erratic behavior of the monsters, and believes this much is enough for their excursion. The second she's about to lead the group away, Lucas shoots a fire arrow next to her neck as a warning shot. This arrogant fuck doesn't want to leave right when things got interesting. The other students are also interested in exploring the dungeon and don't find the snarlers so threatening. Curtis and Claire recommend training here for a while, but Arthur observes why Glory is hesitant of all people. There's also the case of the lances investigating the strangeness in the dungeons. The professor internalizes that it may be a good learning opportunity for the students to gain experience, and then there's the fact that snarlers are at most E-class beasts. She thinks it shouldn't pose a problem as long as she's here to protect them. Plunging her sword, Glory instructs them to split into teams and enjoy different parts of the dungeon. Glory grabs Lucas's shoulder before reminding the arrogant kid that she won't tolerate misbehavior like that again. With that aside, Tessia leads Arthur's group, design Arthur to be their vanguard with his expertise in melee range. She wants Clive and Roland to handle the rear for maximum cover. Finally, Lucas will stay in the middle to uphold their diamond formation. But he takes her for granted and thinks of the trip as nothing more than child's play. Arthur doesn't want any of them to get worked up over him and points to the snarlers heading their way. He notices Rosfield, who is extremely unserious until he sees Arthur cut down a creature like butter. The team assumes formation with Arthur dicing the creatures and the rest handling cover. Lucas is going all mayhem and erupting a bunch of fire spells. He spots Tessia, who covers for him by trapping a snarler and beheading with her sword. Glory knows that her students can handle this level of threat pretty well thanks to their training. However, not even her students are used to prolonged battles, and the snarlers only keep spawning more. Glory instructs each team to follow their leaders as they'll be heading back up now. Each of them retreats until Arthur spots Rosfield slipping up. He goes back to rescue him getting mauled by the creatures. Arthur realizes that he has to hurry and channel his power in a single attack to cut through the layers of monsters. He decides to whip out a new move that he couldn't use on Toby. Unleashing a wind-type strike, he chants Burst Blade and annihilates the wave of creatures in a clean strike. However, this move just now comes at a cost, compromising Arthur's right arm. At least his friend is safe, but that's exactly when things go dark. Even more snarlers appear out of the blue, this time boasting the ability to fly. The uglies just got uglier as they can now roar like hell. Turns out these are queen snarlers, and they're not even supposed to pop up at this floor level. These guys are straight from the bottom floor and shouldn't be here. Feeling the compulsion to get serious, Glory whips out both her fire blades and blocks an attack from 2 queen snarlers at the same time. She then repels the both of them and lunges forth to slice them down with a single attack. Glory wants to handle the queens on her own and recommends the rest to handle the exit. Arthur's injured, but he's trying to get everyone together to break the blockade. From afar, he spots Delphine and requests that she come with him. Tessia and the others intend to cover Arthur and whoever is making way for the exit. Having reached the location, Arthur orders the student to patch the hole while he covers her. Unfortunately, they get attacked from a blind spot. Delphine braces to get attacked, but our boy is faster in cutting the monster down. He just wants her to focus on her task. This time, Delphine is determined and initiates her spell. While she's fixing that, Arthur and the rest of the team are covering the front lines. Tessia blasts some of the monsters with her wind vortex. Finally, Delphine's all finished with her side. Now they're required to clear some of the debris. Arthur fixes his arm and prepares a powerful punch. This dude goes all one-punch man and destroys the boulder, allowing Delphine to catch its fragments. Still, it's not enough to clear an exit for them. Arthur realizes that they've got to figure this out in a single attack. Suddenly he notices a foul stench coming from nearby. It's actually smoke, and it is building up for no reason. Stupid Lucas is exhausting much of his fire magic and burning the creatures. This means their only airway is getting blocked. Arthur immediately requests everyone to stop using fire spells as they'll soon suffer from a lack of oxygen. He thinks it's useless for them to try anything if they can't even breathe properly. At this rate, Sylvie senses that something is wrong. Arthur explains what's going on and instructs her to head to the entrance and describe what it looks like from the outside. This gives Arthur another idea with Curtis. He wants him to use the World Howl spell to clear the blockade. Unfortunately, Curtis doesn't have enough mana without his beast to cast such a spell. That's where he comes in. Arthur tells him to turn around and focus on entering his first phase. Then he instructs Delphine to return to the others and hold back the monsters. With both gone, Arthur takes a deep breath before activating mana transference. This is a concept that has been studied for many years before being considered ineffective. But since Arthur is a special mage with quadra-elemental affinity available to him, he can mimic the types of mana and control the ratio